Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Well, today is Bushcraft shelter build day 2 here at Bushcraft Wonderland. Very, very beautiful morning. However, it is quite cold. It's about 8 degrees Fahrenheit right now, maybe a little bit more than that. And then there's every now and then a little bit of a breeze, which brings it down closer to 0. But even at that, in the sun, it feels pretty good. Now, I had a pretty good hike in here, and I realized my plans for my original shelter build and early action items has kind of changed. So today, what I'm going to do, I've hauled in a whole bunch of gear. I needed supplies here. I need things that I can kind of stash here and keep here, because I can't really haul all this stuff in and out of here every single time I come to work or hang out. So today, what I think I'm going to do is build myself a bit of a gear cache. Now, I have some ideas in mind and things I want to do, but with that said, I have a whole bunch to do, and if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now, for the gear I brought today, you'll see that I brought my AquaQuest Defender Tarp. And I brought this in one of the military sleep systems compression sacks because the sack that it came with is too small. But this did a nice job really holding it while I carried it in. So I need to stash this because this is going to be really a big part of my shelter build. And at least for the short term, while I'm actually building the shelter itself, I want to have a tarp so I can make a temporary shelter if I need it and keep me out of the weather. But then I also brought a collapsible shovel, which I think is going to come into play. Now, I do have another one of these coming, so I'll have a couple of them up here, which I think will help me. And the other tool set's going to be pretty good, and I do intend on doing a review of it in the future. But what I'm going to do is find a spot where I can make a cache and just keep this stuff stashed, and hopefully it'll be safe. So directly next to where my actual shelter site is going to be, there's this other large rock over here. And what I thought I would do is underneath here, you'll see that's a nice open spot. And that will give me the ability to really stash a bunch of stuff, hopefully safe, out of the weather. It looks like it tends to stay dry in there, and hopefully any water that comes through here will just run by downhill. I'll get it up off of the ground, and then I'm going to build a real quick sort of little blind just to block it off so that people can't see it, because the last thing I want is, I don't expect people to come through here, but if they do, I really don't want them finding my stuff. So that's going to be part of my mission today. The other mission is hanging my tarp just to see how it goes. Now, the last time I was here, I did identify the fact that my tarp would nicely string out in that area there, which I think what that will do is, again, give me that temporary shelter area if I need it. And I might start laying out some walls. What I think I need to do, and if my shelter is going to be built in this area, and I'm going to need a roof, well, I think I'm going to get a pole between this tree and that tree over there, and that's going to allow me to slope my roof. And my sleeping area will be down under here, and I think that's going to work pretty nice. As I mentioned the last time, this is going to be my cooking and eating area, and this whole thing's going to come together pretty sweet. So, not just a bushcraft shelter, but I'm going to build it out as a full-fledged camp. So part of the reason for me going through this is to get some practice setting up the tarp and laying it out the way I need and getting myself set up. And right away I'm figuring out that because this tree is literally grown directly against the rock here, that's going to be almost impossible. Now this is not tall enough to lash the actual tarp right here. Rather, what I'm going to do is I got to get a some cordage. I need to make myself a lashing point and drape it down, and then I can tie off to that. So that's actually what I really need to do, is get something tied off up there, and that'll allow me to utilize the tarp the way I need to. Gotta tell ya, this is why I practice so much in the warm weather, because when you can't feel your fingers anymore, it makes it tough. Now that I got it across this way, I just need to drag it out and I'll connect it down the back end, but I think this is gonna work. I mean, a little bit of setup now is gonna go a long way. In the end, it's just cold. And so now to get the tarp strung out, I'm gonna go to this tree here, and then I'm going to go to the one that I cut down last week. And this may slope down just a bit on the back side, but that's fine. Or what I can do is at some point I may lash like another sort of tree to this so that it gets up a little bit higher. I couldn't really cut this down any taller without it being extremely awkward. That's the only thing I probably would have done different, but I didn't have much of a choice. But at that, what I think I'm going to do is sort of like I did with this tree. I'm going to put a permanent lashing point on here. So I'm going to get some cordage, I'm going to make a loop, I'm going to fashion it to the tree, and that's what I'm going to tie off of every time I need to set up. It'll be quick and easy. A little bit of setup now, again, will go a long way in the end. Not strong enough. Damn. Thicker line. So if you look at the difference in the thickness of the line here, this is what I was using. I'm hoping this is going to be suitable, but again, that's why sometimes this stuff is just slow going. You know, I gotta fight through it. I mean, it is what it is. So what that means is I have to use this cordage for kind of like lashing of, poles together and maybe, my walls and things like that. But if I'm putting tension, I definitely need the thicker cordage. So I have a bunch of this, but it tells me when I get home, probably gonna need to order some more. All right, let us try this again. Three sides down, one to go. All right, so 3/4 of this worked out pretty well, but you can see that's not gonna work for me, and that's because this corner here coming up to this tree is just not at the right angle. So again, just working with what I got here. This needs to pull this way, which means I can leverage one of these tie outs here to this tree. So again, it's kind of why I'm going through this today, just figuring this out so that I can show up here, set this tarp up quick if I need to, and be ready to go. And so this is going to work. You can see, because this is partly rotten, that's just kind of biting in there. That's going to be fine. Everything else, that's got a permanent lashing point now. That one over there I didn't, but I should. And then this here has a permanent lashing point. So that's all going to work. I just got to get one set up for this side. And yeah, I think I'll be in pretty good shape. So getting close with this phase. Not bad. It's not perfect, but it will do. And at least at this point, I have it so all the water, if it rains or snows and there's some melt, will shed off of this corner, which is fine. And there's plenty of headroom. I can walk under here pretty much no problem. So this will give me good temporary shelter if I need it. Now, each time I come out, I might tidy it up a little bit and improve, and I'll get used to setting it up. You can see there's some sags and it's not perfectly taut, but as I improve, this will also get better. And I know that that line is probably not gonna last, but the theory is there. So anyway, this is good. So next step for me, I need to start working on my gear cache. So go over there and make myself a little bunker. That goes far. So I have this fairly well cleaned out, and as you can see, this does go pretty far back in there. Now the good thing is, I was looking for signs of animals. I don't see any, so that's encouraging. And this is plenty of space. I mean, I have a lot of space here for gear. Now the one thing that I have to worry about is I do see the potential for, when it rains or snow melt, for the water to shed down here. So the first thing I do, I need to make myself a little bit of a lay to get my stuff up on top. So I'm going to cut myself some logs to length and kind of line the bottom of this with some logs just to get my stuff up off the ground. So that's the first step. And then I need to figure out a way to conceal this while I'm not here. Now, I have a few things going for me. One is there's already some debris laid around here. So I'm going to leave that. I'm actually not going to mess with that at all because it looks natural. And then I need to figure out a way to seal this off so that it's quick and easy for me to get to my stuff. I don't want to have to like pile a big mess of debris and constantly have to go in there. Maybe a couple of sticks, but I'm thinking if I made myself almost a half-assed kind of door, and I could just pick it up and move it aside, get my stuff, and then put it back in there. But again, it has to look kind of natural. It can't really look man-made. So one of the things I wanted to make the first day I was out here was some basic sawhorses so I can do all my cutting tasks, you know, up off the ground, out of the snow, and make it a little bit easier. So what I'm opting to do, I have two of these just beautiful trees. They're perfect. They're straight, they're debarked. I just delimbed it real quick. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut myself basically 6 2-foot long pieces, and I'm gonna make 2 little tripods. So small little miniature tripods. They're gonna be lashed at roughly 2/3 up the height, and that's gonna make a Y on top that I can nest my branches in while I'm doing my cutting tasks. And they'll be very portable and movable, and it's something I'll have here while I'm doing my build process. So right now, just 6 2-foot lengths, and we'll go from there. Now this is starting to get just a little bit punky, so I do want to be careful, because if I'm going to spend my time to make something, I do want it to last. So we'll check this one out and see how it looks. And you can hear it. Most of it's pretty good. There's just a little bit of sponge on the top, so I'll make sure I put this end down. This will be just fine. Yeah, a little bit of punk in there, but let's go with it for now. All right, so here I have some cordage. I have my logs, and what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna match up the bottoms a little bit. It doesn't matter a ton, but I do want to be, I don't know, at least kind of careful here. So along this line here, I am gonna lash these together. So utilizing the thinner cord that I brought with me, I'm going to do a very basic technique here. I'm actually going to put a loop in this, but I need my loop to be big enough that I can get the spool through it. So I just go extra big, doesn't matter. So about here, that should be fine. That's more than enough to get the spool through. Now on my first piece, this. Okay. So now again, lining up my bottoms. I'm gonna go over under on all of these and start to lash these together at roughly 2/3 of the way up these logs. So don't know, call it, 16 inches, ballpark roughly. I'm just gonna weave up and down between all these. It's gonna take me a couple minutes, so I'm just gonna do this here until I've gone around them a number of times. And that's gonna just allow me to kick these open like a tripod. I'm gonna do this probably 8 or 10 times just to get plenty of material, plenty of lashing in here. And what I probably should have done was taken the extra minute just to really clean up these sort of pokers here. There's still tiny pieces of the branches sticking off in a few places, and it's just kind of inhibiting my ability to do a nice clean job. So not a huge deal, but on the second one I'm going to pay more attention to that for sure. And so at this point, I've cut myself about 4 feet of extra. And what I'm going to do is go through each one of these and loop around 4 or 5 times and get this nice and tight. So the first time you'll see as I pull this through, just kind of cinching all this up, get it to its final resting spot. I'm just going to go right around here a number of times and try to tighten this up. And with my hands being so cold, this is not going to be the best, but it should be pretty good. So I'm just going to take my time here, try to get this right. Sneak this around. This is going pretty good. Over this side, same idea. Start here. Start here. So just start here. Open range. No. So that's not here. That's right. Okay. Alright. Nice. Alright. So now, just to tie this off, and I should be in pretty good shape. So I'm gonna come around here once. I left myself plenty because I knew my fingers weren't going to work too well. Alright. This is the part I always get messed up. Trying to get this finicky little knot in here is always tough. Let's try that again. I'm just going to loop around one more time. Through here. There we go. Alright. And that should just about do it. Now, I can cut that end and melt that down, and I'll be good. Gotta warm up the lighter first. Usually try to keep these in my pocket, but I forgot. I'll get it going. So something else I've now discovered that I really want to do is really point the ends so these will help stay in place while I'm working. So I don't want to go too crazy, but as I mentioned, I just want to do a better job cleaning these up, getting rid of some of this like pokey stuff. So while I lash these together, it's better. And I'm just going to angle these a bit. It's a little light for this. I think I'm gonna go to the axe. Okay. That's probably about right. I don't want to go too thin because it'll become weak. So I'm going to do the other two and then we'll lash this one together. All right. Well, at this point, these are now ready. I think this is going to do exactly what I need. So while I'm getting at it here, you can see the difference between the tripod legs that I did not put the spikes in, and then the ones that I, angled the bottom. These are staying put perfectly, and this is kind of rocking around on me. So that tells me next time I come, I don't have time today, but next time I come, I'll probably need to cut the lashings out of those, and then just angle the bottoms. But yeah, that's working perfectly. And it just gives me a little portable way to, do what I need to do. I'm up here by my cache, and this is where I want to be doing my work, so I can kind of, measure roughly and figure out what I need to do. So having the ability to move my work spot around is going to be sweet. So a little bit of an adjustment next time, but I'm on the right track. And so that's simple. Just a spot underneath where I can stash my stuff, get it up off of the ground. And if the water does run down off of the rocks, it will at least hit that log and continue downhill. So no problem. So at this point, might as well clean up my stuff, get it stashed away, and I think that's about enough for one day. It's been a while here. And so although not perfect, I would go as far as to say, unless you knew what you were looking for, I highly doubt that would be a problem. I don't see anybody really finding that. I might actually just tuck one last little piece in the end there, just to kind of cover up the cut logs, because that does look a little funny, but the rest of it honestly just looks like a bunch of debris. And assuming the wind takes some of this away, or it snows again, which it's supposed to, that's not going to be seen, nor the evidence of me being here. So I feel pretty good about that. It's not tucked under quite as much as I had hoped, because that tarp is quite large, but at the same time, it's under there, it's protected, and actually it should breathe a bit because of the pine. There actually should be the ability for the wind to blow through there and keep it dry and in good shape. So I feel good about that. So a couple last little boughs in there and I'll be done. And so one of the things I was wondering last time was exactly which direction south is. And at first, last time I was here, I thought it was kind of like that way, but as the compass settles down, it's more that way. And now that I'm looking at the signs, that makes a lot of sense, and I'll show you what I'm seeing. So first thing is, it's about midday right now, which means the sun is essentially halfway between east and west, and these shadows are coming straight at me. And you can see on the back sides of a lot of these trees, it still has snow, which is the northerly facing sides. And of course, as I turn around, all the southern facing sides of the trees are completely brown. So that's an indication right there alone. And so, yeah, I mean, I think my original plans to have this shelter on this side are going to work out quite well, because it will get a lot of sun. And as I sit here and imagine this being my shelter area, that's going to be nice. Real nice. Well, so all right guys, there you have it, day 2 at Bushcraft Wonderland. I gotta say, that was actually a lot of work, and especially for the conditions. It's slow going when it's this cold. And I went to have myself a well-earned sip of water, but that's not going to be the easiest. I'm going to have to shake this thing up and get it going again. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't perfect. You know, I set out with a few goals, and everything next time needs to be a little bit tweaked. But I'm stepping in the right direction. I'm making improvements. I'm kind of working my way through this as I figure it out. So I think I'm getting close to actually building, which is good. I mean, I've laid a lot of the foundation. I have myself a temporary shelter if I need it. I have myself a place where I can stash my supplies. I have some of them here with me now. That's a big deal. It's going to keep it faster coming in here and not having to carry everything every time. So that's pretty cool. So I'm excited. Yeah, a nice day. A little cold, but good progress. And you know what? More than anything else, it's just worth being out here. I got my exercise. I got a little bit of work accomplished. But at this point, it's probably time to head out. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. Hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.